Going on, everybody? So kind of wanted to make a dedicated video about non-CDL versus CDL as far as equipment. I touched about it a little bit in other videos, and there's 150 other videos about this concept and talking about it, but I just wanted to give another interpretation, because there's a lot of wording in the FMCSA that can get people hung up on. I don't know if I should disconnect my trailer. Kind of want to go eat. Let's look at the load board a little bit. We'll kind of touch on this a little bit. So non-CDL versus CDL. Obviously my setup is non-CDL, and what makes it non-CDL is really the trailer setup and how much weight it can haul and what it's rated for. So anything rated over 26,001 pounds requires a Class A CDL to operate legally for commerce. You know, key word there. That's how people get away with super big campers, motorhomes, whatever. It's because it's private use, not for hire, their own goods, you know, whatever the state's wording is. But when you're for hire, anything over 26,000 pounds rated requires a Class A CDL. Now, this setup, I guess I'll stay over here for a second and I can show you. This setup, technically from the factory, 14GN is rated for 15,900 pounds. Previous owner of mine derated it. You can see up there. Man, I can't see the screen. Previous owner of mine derated it to 13,900 because he had a 1-ton pickup, and then that gross vehicle weight rating was like 12,000, so 13.9 put him at 25,900 combined gross vehicle rating, which stays under Class A CDL for commercial use. Now, I took that into account and everything when I bought this trailer, and obviously when I go out of state and I go over scales, that cuts into my capacity a good bit, but haven't done that, and I don't really plan to with this setup. It's just gonna stay local in Arizona. What makes it what makes it a 15.9 trailer and 14GN is its axles. These are 7,000 pound grease axles. Obviously two of them are good for 14,000 pounds. And then, let's go inside. I've been cranking the AC in there. Oh yeah, man. Oh, I left my phone. Go get that and then we'll chill in here. When you get into CDL setups, that's when you see the dual tandem trailers. That's 8 wheels under the trailer. Those are usually 11 to 12,000 pound axles, meaning they're good for 24,000 pounds. Now, so typically those trailers are rated for, like, they have a gross combined vehicle weight rating of 25.9 or over 30,000. But when you get into those trailers, that 30,000 gross vehicle weight rating takes you into a different IFTA bracket, is what I've heard. I don't worry about that because we're light duty, baby. So yeah, when you see those 8 wheel axle trailers, you get into the CDL. Oh, I'm just gonna keep using my non-CDL setup as an example. My 2500 pickup truck has a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds. I'll put a picture of that. It's on the door tag of every pickup truck. You can find it. It has a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds. Hooked up to my trailer that has a vehicle weight rating of 13,900 pounds. That gives me a combined weight rating of 23,900 pounds. My truck and trailer, hooked up with all my bells and whistles and tools and a little bit of fuel in my transfer tank, it weighs 14,400 pounds. I'm able to haul legally, I just say 9,000 pounds to be safe. A little over, a little under is okay. That's nowhere near the capacity of the trailer because it's a 14 GN. You could probably realistically put 13 or 14,000 on the trailer, and it'll be pissed, but it'll haul it and it'll be okay because it's got the 7,000 pound axles and it's got 16 ply tires under it. So I'll never outweigh my tire ratings, that's for sure. And that's another thing that DOT looks at. Not only is it the stickers of the equipment, but obviously the tires under them and overall condition, of course. If your axles are leaking, your bearings are busted, you can smell brakes, or you're visually, you're actually burning your brakes as they're looking at you. That's all a cause for concern. As far as equipment goes, that's pretty much it. It's really the weight ratings is what you have to be careful of and know what your equipment is. You don't want to buy a super heavy trailer if you're non-CDL. The name of the game is weight for us guys. You have a light trailer that's built well still, so it's not falling apart as you're progressing and as you're building. You have a light trailer that's well built, Big Tex, JP, Diamond C if you can afford it. Those are super well built trailers. But you have the lightweight axles, and your combined weight rating is under 26,000 pounds. Because if you go and buy a 14 GN Big Tex that's not D-rated, that has a 15.9 gross vehicle weight rating, but then you have a 1-ton dually pickup, and those weight ratings are typically 12,000, 12,500, 10,500. Even 10,500 will set you over 26,001 combined. And that's what's tricky with so many people. And if you see those guys with the dually setups, the 1-ton pickups, and they're pulling a 14 GN style trailer, not the dual tandem duals under the trailer, that trailer is D-rated 9 times out of 10. So their combined ratio is under 26,000 pounds. I just did it kind of the easy way. I already bought a D-rated trailer, so I could have had a dually, but I had the pickup truck first, so I had the 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. And then I found this trailer that was already D-rated, and then I used that situation to obviously get less under his asking price and save some money there. I can't think of anything else for equipment. It's really the weight ratings, and then book your loads accordingly. You can't, if you can legally scale 10,000 pounds, don't book a load for 11,500. Because you can do it and they'll let you leave with it because they don't care. They want to get that load out of there, but you're liable for it as soon as you get out of there. You can't say oopsie, never mind, and go back and turn around. I mean, if you know the shipper, you probably could. You got to drive that mother effer, and so you need to make sure it's under your weight and it's not going to mess you up. And then it's a whole thing too when you're talking about loads and trailers and weights, making sure all your weights are correct. Freaking broker. Making sure all your weights are correct. What I mean by that is like your axle weightings. If you have one pallet that weighs 6,000 pounds and one pallet that weighs 8,000 pounds, I can't really think of a good math analogy, but you don't want to overload your axles or your truck. So you want to spread it. You want to have a nice trailer that you can spread out the weight evenly. 20-foot trailer, you're going to be, one, you're going to be screwed with the amount of cargo you can take, and then two, you're going to be, it's going to kind of be difficult with the cargo you can take, also not overloading any of your equipment, because a 3/4 ton truck, I gotta look at mine, but I'm pretty sure my rear axle can't be over 6,500 pounds. And then with it might be even less, that may be a dually. But a dually is obviously significantly more, so you can put a lot more weight in the front of the trailer, the tongue of the trailer. But with my setup and half the partial loads I do, I just throw everything over the axles and send it. Unless it's a full load, you always just put the heaviest stuff over the axles for sure. But when you talk about the non-CDL and CDL2, there's a couple of different things that I don't have to do as non-CDL. I don't have to worry about IFTA. I don't have to get any, especially since I don't go over state lines and I just stay in Arizona. I've had multiple people tell me, don't even worry about IFTA. There's no reason to have that sticker on your truck. And I've been running for a month now with my numbers and everything on the side of the truck. I've been passed by state troopers, state police, DOT, everybody. Knock on wood. Nobody said anything about anything of me. You know, all my stuff's up to date and all my equipment looks clean and tight for the most part, which is a huge thing too. I have an E-log in case I do take a load that takes me over state lines, so I can be 100% legal. But I've had a lot of people tell me don't even have it plugged in if you're staying in Arizona. If you're running around the state, it doesn't matter. And it's still sitting up on my dash. It's ready to be plugged in, and I have all my accounts and everything set up. So as soon as I do cross the state line, I can turn it on and plug it in for that run or whatever. CDL also requires you to be enrolled in the DOT physicals and drug testing. I don't know the actual, it's like some compliance terminology, but I just know it as drug testing. Obviously non-CDL or CDL, you have to have your DOT physical, but during that they really just do it. It's a health screen. They're not really testing for anything other than diseases and stuff. Still have to have like an MC-130, I think it's called, filed from your insurance or an agency, and then that just gets expensive too when you're setting everything up. I think you tell your insurance too that you're non-commercial, that you're just a regular driver's license, and that might affect something too, but you're still Hotshot transport. Insurance is just an absolute joke, and perhaps I'm gonna make a video on that one day. But just like this, there's thousands of those. Probably go disconnect my truck and trailer and go run an errand in Chandler and see if I can get something loaded up, or got fences and barns to deal with tomorrow for sure. Pick up at 7 a.m. in Phoenix, running out to Queen Creek tomorrow, and then the next day is running up north past Kingman, and then Friday is down south past Tucson. So the rest of the week we got some miles, so it's kind of good. Today is really just chilling. Deserve some rest. Aired up my tires, got all those pumped up to 80. Put my trailers up. I initially had them at, I think 80. I set them like 2.5 weeks ago, and then I checked them today. They were at like 75, and I read the tires again, and they really want them at 115 because they're 16 plies. So I just put them at like 95, 100. Arizona sun is going to heat them up a little bit and they'll expand, and then also they could leak out a little bit, you know. I'm sure somebody can tell me in the comments. 16 ply Freedom tires, you know, it says 115 and I got 95 to 100 in them. But that's kind of it. I kind of just wanted to make a little thing about non-CDL Hotshot versus CDL as far as equipment, and just the biggest thing is gross vehicle weight ratings, combined and not combined. No matter what, you want to be under 26,000 pounds rolling down the road, but then your equipment has to be rated for that, and under 26,000 pounds. It can be rated over for it, like you can, obviously the new Dodge Dualies and F450s, 350s, those are rated for 30 or 40,000 pounds pulling, but then I think that spec will also have a weight rating of over 15,000 pounds, maybe. Those might have 19. And then your trailer's just a joke at that point. So that's, you know, non-CDL setup. You just have to be really careful with the truck and trailer you get. Any questions, of course, drop them in the comments. If you want to get in contact with me and ask how I did, what I'm doing, I'd be happy to share more of my stuff. But yeah, that might be it for, that's it for this one for sure. I'll see if I film anything else later if I get a load, but appreciate you watching.